Kanye West, Nicki Minaj, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, 50 Cent, A$AP Rocky, Waka Flocka, Lil Wayne, Sexy Red, Nelly. All of these people are rappers who arguably couldn't have or sustained their careers without the Black community. And they have come out to be MAGA and a part of this whole MAGA movement in support of Bone Spurs. And in a way, I am very perplexed as to how so many of the rappers of the Black community, many of which have been a staple of rap and hip hop in the Black community, how could they turn against the Black community the way that they have and go towards the type of rhetoric and the type of regime that would see the Black community fall? And they sit here and they watch what is going on in the country today, what this regime wants for the community that helped them succeed. And they either say nothing or they cheer it on. What is it about these rappers that can turn on the Black community so easily? I had to really sit there and take an introspective look. And the things that I came up with are probably going to be incredibly uncomfortable for those of us in the Black community. But I came to the realization, the uncomfortable realization, that these rappers never really had the Black community's best interests at heart in the first place. Black people has always used music to express what is going on in our lives at the time. We have always been able to be creative when it comes to voicing our grief and our sorrow. This is how the blues was created. This is how gospel was created. And this is how rap was created. But rap, in my view, was ever so slightly different. Because rap was created during a time where Black people were forcibly put into those concrete rises. It was during a time where our communities were being gentrified. Red zoning was happening, so we couldn't get loans to move into other communities. It was ways to keep us out of the suburbs, HOAs to make life more expensive. Rap came at a time where we were fighting for our rights. We were fighting police brutality. It was during the time of the original Black Panthers of the 70s. And there was a lot of different morphs of rap, but gangster rap got a lot of attention back in those days. And this is absolutely nothing against rap and against gangster rap, but society used rap and gangster rap to paint a picture of what the Black community was like. Because a lot of people tricked themselves into thinking that racism was over after the civil rights movement, they completely missed all of the things that were going on in the Black community. The introduction of white powder by the CIA, crippling our people and making them addicted. The defunding of our education, the poisoning of our waters, the destruction of our businesses and our communities, forcing us into those concrete rises. What became known as the hood. The music was a creative outlet for that life, for how difficult that life had become. But it was interpreted and misinterpreted by people from the outside as people choosing to have a life of crime. Because a lot of the words went from rapping about how life was to rapping about how they were going to unalive someone, or how much money they had, or how many narcotics they were doing, or how many women they could run through. Rap music and the message within morphed in some ways from a message of pain and a message of outlet to a message of anger and danger to anybody looking in from the outside. This hurt the community in a way that we are still reeling from today. The image that people have in their minds steered from some of that image that they had. Music videos and things like that, putting out that image of that life of crime to the point where people today still think that that is the majority of Black people. Once again, this is not a criticism of rap music, because as we know, everybody loves themselves some rap music. They rap in every country, in every language. That was us. We started that. But that was used by people who did not have our best interests at heart to spread propaganda against the Black community. Not only with the lyrics and the words within, but also with the music videos and the imagery in the music videos, as well as the movies of the 80s and 90s. Those gangster movies that perpetuated this image of Black people, that not only worked to tarnish our reputation here in the United States among people who had convinced themselves that we chose to be in the situations that we were in, but it also was used to propagandize the Black Americans' image around the world. And I know this because I lived abroad. And the first thing that people thought about me when I lived abroad was that I danced in rap videos. That's what they think that I did. They didn't view me as a scholar. They didn't view me as an avid reader or writer or a college student. They asked me if I danced in music videos. Now, yes, of course, that was out of ignorance because I was probably the first Black person they had ever talked to as I was in the country of Japan. But they did know rap music and they liked rap music. But they also associated me with the things that they saw in Black media and was surprised when I was different. Surprised that I didn't come off that same way. Now, these rappers, the ones I had named at the forefront of this video, these rappers made a name for themselves, perpetuating the lie that Black Americans were dangerous, had illegal weapons, did narcotics. And when they had money, instead of investing and making smart business choices, they spent it on material and frivolous things. These were the images that many of these rappers started with. These were the images that many of these rappers put into the ether about Black people. And again, I am not disrespecting the art of rap. And I am not saying that I didn't also and don't also appreciate the music, old and new, when it comes to rap music. I appreciate the culture. I appreciate the creativity, the trend setting that rap and the Black community and Black culture in general has always been. I am very appreciative of that, but I also understand that people have used that as a way to also hurt the Black community and the Black community's reputation. And these rappers, many of these rappers had a hand in doing that. And I don't think that they didn't know what they were doing. It is very possible that the reason why we are seeing a lot of these rappers come out as MAGA now, other than the fact that they get tons of tax cuts and things like that, is because they hold a resentment against the Black community that they may not have dealt with already. A lot of the people who, quote, started at the bottom, start blaming the people at the bottom when they rise to the top. As my mama would say, they forgot where they came from. And they get this mentality of, I did it, why can't you? And then they started resenting Black people and forgetting about the history, forgetting that only 3% of the Black community were considered middle class or even educated in 1968. But now almost 50% of the Black community are considered middle class and educated. They forget how far we had to climb to get to where we are and the history we have had to overcome. These rappers, these people who got there based on Black dollars, spit in the face of Black people because they feel as if they don't need the community anymore. My speculation. They start believing their own hype. They start calling Black people victims and bullies and continue demonizing the Black community in America and on the world stage. It's real easy for them now that they have what they want. They have those millions of dollars. They have gotten out of the hood, even though the hood is not the reality of many Black people these days. But because they made it out of the hood, they look back at the Black community with their nose up, acting like the Black community isn't why they got there, and acting like it wasn't their rhetoric, their movies, their image that was used and propagandized to keep us where they want us, to keep it so our lives don't matter as much, to make it so people will look at someone like Keith Porter and justify his unaliving while looking at Alex Preddy and what happened to him in outrage. Those images that these rappers helped to put in people's heads about the Black community was the latest in propaganda to get people after the civil rights movement to continue to brutalize Black Americans. That image that those rappers put in people's heads are the image that they used during cop trainings to demonize Black people and over-police Black people. And when they get to where they want to go, they completely forget about the people who got them there. Now, I know that there are some people who are going to be in my comments who feel some kind of way about what I'm saying. People who love and understand rap better than I do, who are going to be feeling some type of way about what I am saying. But I do want to be incredibly clear. I am not attacking rap music. I am not attacking Black culture. I am pointing out how the image that was presented by the same rappers who are now on the side of white supremacists has hurt the Black community, and how they don't seem to understand that the thing that the Black community has been fighting against, the image we have been trying to overcome, is the same exact image that got them rich. And they turned their backs on us. That is what I am trying to point out. And it was extremely uncomfortable to not only have that introspective conversation with myself, but it was extremely uncomfortable for me to make this video and tell you guys how I feel about it. But one thing I feel is clear is that the true colors of many of these rappers has definitely been showing themselves of late. I am very interested to keep this conversation going and to see what you guys have to say about this in the comments, because I think that this is an open conversation that really needs to be hashed out. Y'all tell me what you think.